Oh.
Okay, let us go to God in prayer. Father in heaven, I give you thanks that you have given strength, our daily food, that we can be here. You've given accommodation, that these students could board here. Some of them are from far away. We thank you for the opportunity that you have given to each of them to learn important subjects that they can use as Christians to enable them to win people to become followers of Jesus and to strengthen them in the Christian faith. Father in heaven, I pray that they may not be discouraged, but that you will strengthen them to be able to do whatever you have called them to do, to the best of their ability and to the ability you give to them. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, good afternoon to students at the School of Preaching, and good afternoon, Jamaica time, to all of you joining us on Jamaica School of Preaching, Mona, on YouTube. It is great to have you with us. Now, yesterday we had a test for the first time this trimester, and most of the students did very well in it. And what I'm going to be doing is to hand back the test papers for them to keep. I have recorded their grades, and we will go through the test together. It just depends on how much they may not yet understand concerning the test. That will determine how long or how short of a time I spend going through the test. But we're going to be going through the test shortly after I hand back the test papers. Now, I have made some comments on each paper, and I want to encourage you to do what I have suggested. It would be good to look over those lessons that you are tested on and to see what it is, answer correctly.
Would I pass, right?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge. The pass mark for non-biblical subjects is 50%, and the pass mark for Bible subjects themselves, like books of the Bible, is 70%. All right, so you can thank God that this is not strictly speaking a biblical subject, though it is related directly to the Bible, since this is the original language that the Old Testament, for the most part, was written in. So test number is entitled Maqqeph, Kamis Hatuf, Daghesh Lene, and Daghesh Forte. So I'm going to be going through it at this time. Okay, so the question was, what does Maqqeph mean? And different answers, because what I was looking for was not so much the exact word that I would give, but if you had the right idea in your mind. Maqqeph means binding or binder.
Yep.
It can also mean connection. It is a device in writing that joins one word to another, and at least two words are joined together. So it's the joining together of two or more words. Maqqeph itself is a Hebrew word that means binding or binder. And you know, binding means that you bring things together to make one. For example, if you look at this Bible has hundreds of pages, and they have been stitched at the back, and it has been covered with a leather covering. If these pages were not stitched together, they might be falling all over the place. But if I let it go like this, it stays together because they have been bound together to form one book. Or my notebook here. This notebook, this blue notebook, it has many pages in it. It's been stitched at the back, and a cardboard cover, colored blue, has been placed over it. Or this attendance register, that I have to write down your attendance every time I have class and check the clipboard to see that you have signed. If it didn't have these staples at the back, the pages would be going all over the place on the floor. So Maqqeph is like this. It is like the stitch at the back of a book, the stitches that make all the pages remain together. It's that which joins together two or more words. Any question on the meaning of Maqqeph? Enrico, you have any question on the meaning of Maqqeph?
I understand.
You understand? Joins together two. That's right. Two or more words. Okay. Now, number 2. Give an yes.
But when they were joined together, you know what comes to mind?
Marriage.
Not only marriage, but this scripture in the Bible, I mean, is it in Corinthians?
Yoked together?
No, in Corinthians 1:10-15, if I'm correct, I said that you should be speaking the same thing.
And be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
The Father is one.
Yes.
You know, so there we have it.
They're joined together.
Yeah.
They say the same thing. Okay. The Father is working. The Son is speaking for the Father and doing the works of the Father in a human body on the earth. Okay, thank you. Number 2, give an example of Maqqeph in English. And there are different words that are joined together in English. I have only given one possible example. If you gave a different one, Richard gave the example of son-in-law. That's a good one. Dash in, dash law. These are 3 words that have been joined together. Okay.
I remember sometime ago I even gave the example, saying that you have a father-in-law, you have a son-in-law, you have a sister-in-law, you have a brother-in-law, but the mother is the law.
The mother is the law. Many times that is true in Jamaica. Many times that is true in Jamaica. We are living in what sociologists call a matriarchal or matriarchal society in which the mother is the one in charge. Okay? So you have different in-laws, and you say that the mother is the law. Yes. All right. So these words like son-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, are good examples of what Maqqeph does. Yes, it binds or joins together separate words that by themselves would have a different meaning, but when they're joined together, they have one meaning. Okay, now number 3. When 2 or more words are joined together, I'm talking now about the Hebrew, they become how many words? Well, in the Hebrew, they are now considered one word. In fact, because it is considered one word and not separate words, the accent changes on all the words that are joined together. It gives all the words and goes back to the last word in the set of words that are joined together. In Hebrew grammar, the accent tends to fall on the last syllable of a word. And when different words are joined together, accent all the different words and go on to the last word that has been joined together. Now remember that in Hebrew, we're moving from the right to the left. So the last word in a series of words joined together would be to the. Okay, moving on to number 4. How may you know when, and this is like a, is the symbol of Kames Hatuf. Now, there were some who had difficulty answering that question. The answer is simply when it is in a closed syllable that is not accented. Well, what is a closed syllable? Can any of you tell me what is a closed syllable?
A closed syllable, I can say, is a syllable that from back the consonant and the vowel followed by another consonant.
That is correct. Now let me get what you were saying. I didn't get it. Say
No, I was wondering what you call 2 commas at the top of our word. That's what I was referring to.
Quotation marks.
Yes. So that's what that is.
Okay. Okay. Well, let us think about. Let's think about syllables. What does syllable mean? It's a unit of sound. I told you before that when I was a child and I wanted to be able to spell different words, my father told me that if I know how to pronounce the different syllables in a word, it might be a long word, but if I knew how to pronounce the different syllables that make up the word, it would help me to remember how to spell the word and how to pronounce it. So a syllable is a unit of sound. To illustrate, Maxime. Max is one syllable. I think I'm dealing with a French word. So what's the first syllable, Maxime?
Maxime, and im. 7 syllables.
So it's Max, Im. Max is one and Im is another. And then you have Sherwood.
Yes.
Sher is one and Wood is the other. So these are different syllables of his name. You have Robens. Ro, I think, is the first, and Benz is the next one. Okay, Robens.
If I so Romaus,
Okay.
Ba, who's is three? Wo,
Sir.
Row.
No further.
Ma is two.
Mhm.
Who's is three. Three syllable.
Are you spelling your name?
The female must spell the female.
Which name are you spelling?
Somebody use an example.
Okay.
Female, sir.
Right. So a syllable is a unit of sound. Now a closed syllable is different from an open syllable.
Weird.
A closed syllable, as Maxime just said, consists of, get out my marker now, consists of, yes.
My name does not have a syllable.
All right, your first name is Richard. Or, well,
Rich.
you have Rich and then you have R. Rich and
What
R.
about boy?
Boy, one syllable. Boy. Roy.
How do you pronounce the last word? Roy. Roy. Just Roy. Like R-O-Y. Okay, with E. Okay. Well, that would be just one syllable. Yes. So, on this whiteboard, let me just explain. It is important to understand the different syllables. An open syllable is one in which you have, let us say, a consonant. What consonant is this called? This is Aleph. So this is a consonant. And then under the consonant, you place a vowel. Let's put this commas A. All right. This is an open syllable. It consists of a consonant and a vowel. And usually, when you have an open syllable, you have commas A. You will not find the other one that is called commas Hatu that looks just like this. On the other hand, let us look at this word. I'm going to use a word I haven't shown you before. This is mem. It's looking now at closed syllable. Closed syllable. All right. Here's a closed syllable. Looking at a closed syllable. Closed syllable consists of a consonant followed by a vowel. Here we have the same T symbol again. We'll soon find out if it is commas A, long A sound, or commas Hatu, the short O sound. This is a vowel. And then it is followed by another consonant. Let me just spell out the whole word. This is shin, and this is the long I sound. I think now. That's it. So here we have a word. Let us say we don't know how to pronounce it yet, but we're going to find out. Normally, when you don't see any accent mark on a word, the accent mark is on the last syllable. like over here. This is the last syllable. So there is no accent over here. And so what you have here is an unaccented syllable that consists of mem, soon get to the identity of this symbol here, and shin. Now, a closed syllable is a consonant followed by a vowel, followed by another consonant. And this is the consonant shin. That's the next consonant that comes after the vowel. Now the rule says that if this symbol that looks like our English capital T is in a closed syllable, which consists of a consonant, a vowel, and another consonant, then, and it has no accent, accents normally fall on the last syllable of a word, then it means that this is a closed, unaccented syllable, and if it is a closed, unaccented syllable, that is a syllable that has no accent on it, then you can know that this here is Thomas Hatu. It is your short O sound, like top, or pop, or stop, or mop. It's your short O sound. Once it is in a closed syllable that has no accent over this closed syllable, this is not Kamis A, it has to be Kamis Hatuf. And so this would be pronounced as a short O. So it would be mosh. It would be mosh, iak, moshiak. In English letters, it would be M, O, S, H, I, A, and this is Keth. Sometimes Keth is written with a CH or simply with an H. And this comes over into English as either Messiah or Christ, or strictly translated, it comes over as anointed one. Okay, so this is an example of Kamis Hatuf. It's in a closed, unaccented syllable. So that's the answer that was expected. That you know that that symbol that looks like an English capital A, Kamis Hatuf, because it is an unaccented syllable. Now just give me a few seconds break. And I'll soon be back. I'm not just going over to the next room.
No. What's up? Nobody. Oh, this is reverse. Are you near Roma Roots? Are you near Roma Roots, brother?
Can't
Again, you have more rules, because her reverse is bloody.
really say what I got.
You suggest you look at this video?
Okay.
But I'm going to say, I think
Let's see.
Okay, let us move on now to number. Is there any question on number 4? How may you know when that symbol there that looks like our English capital T is the symbol of Kames Hatu? The answer is simply when it is in a closed, unaccented syllable, or when it is in a closed syllable that has no accent. If you had just put, or only put, when it is in a closed syllable, I gave you 5% for that answer because that answer is partly correct. That's part of how you recognize Kames Hatu. And but the full answer is it is in a closed syllable that has no accent over it. Okay, we're moving on to number 5. What does Daghesh mean? Who had difficulty remembering what Daghesh means?
That was easy.
That was easy. Who found it hard? Daghesh means piercing. That's the literal meaning. And we represent the hole that has been pierced by a sharp instrument by a dot in the middle of the letter. So Daghesh means piercing. You know,
That is for
yes. You know, that sounds really close to the word dagger. Dagger is a knife.
Yes.
And it is usually a sharp knife, and it can bore a hole and pierce. Daghesh means piercing. Daghesh, and if you want to remember that, you can remember the word dagger. Dagger is like Daghesh. It's piercing. Okay, so that's the meaning of Daghesh. What does Daghesh mean? Piercing. Or if you simply had a dot, I would have accepted it. Daghesh means piercing or a dot. Lene meaning. Now, Lene is a Hebrew word, just like Daghesh. And Lene means what? Weak. Lene means weak. Number 7, what does Forte mean?
Strong.
Forte is a Latin word which means strong. Kingston College, or KC.
Yes, sir. I just want to mention.
Yeah, what did I mention for?
The school I told you that as
their motto?
Yes, Fortis.
Fortis. All right. Yes, that's related to the word forte, which means strong. The strong may fall, but never yield. That means even if the strong are defeated, they don't give up. They get up and continue to fight. Okay, so that is KC's motto, school motto. So Forte means strong. So you have 2 different types of Daghesh, 2 different kinds of dots. One is a weak dot, and the other is a strong dot. And you know the difference between the 2, because one can do more than what the other can do. Because it is strong, it can do more than what the other can do. Okay, number 8. Identify one of the 6 consonants that Daghesh meant Lene may be placed in. Good. Now realize that it gave some trouble. If you try to memorize it, you may not remember all the letters that you need to remember. And that's why I didn't even ask you to tell me even 3 of the 6 letters that Daghesh Lene goes in. I just asked you for 1. And good for you that many of you remembered even 1 letter. But let me remind you as to how you can remember the 6 letters that Daghesh Lene is to go in. Okay, 6 letters.
Get, Dalet,
Yeah.
Kaf, Fe,
Yeah.
Tal.
Good. That is correct. And what the Hebrew grammars do is to make 2 words out of these 6 letters. So they have faith. On the bait, they put the vocal shiva. They have gimel. And under gimel, they put patak. Then they have dalet. And the second word is, I wonder if I should put that right. Just leave it like that. Then they have kaf. They have fe. And they have thou. Under the fe, they have a patak. So they make 2 words. This is B, E, G, A, T, H. In modern Hebrew, they don't say TH, they say D. And in Kaf, it's a K, vocal shua, E up there. This Fe is PH, Patak, short A, and Tau, TH. So Begat, Kefat, moving in this direction. Begat, Kefat. Begat, Kefat. If you can remember these 2 words, you will automatically remember the 6 letters that Daghesh Lene can go into. Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Kaf, Fe, and Tau. Begat, Kefat. These are the 6 letters or consonants that Daghesh Lene can go in. Any question on that? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Number 9. Identify one of the 5 consonants that Daghesh Forte may not be placed in. Okay. One of the 5 consonants that Daghesh Forte may not be placed in. Anybody remembers? Aleph, yes. That's 1. A, Ket, Ayin, and Resh. Okay. Those are called guttural letters, and they are considered strong also. So the strength of the Daghesh Forte doesn't cause them to be doubled. They can't be doubled. What has to happen is that the previous vowel has to be lengthened. So no dot can go into those 5 different consonants. So for the viewers, these are the guttural letters, called guttural because they're pronounced in the throat. These are the guttural letters. You have Aleph, A, Kef, Ayin, and Resh. So a Daghesh Forte cannot go into any of these letters. Okay, now Daghesh Lene can go into only 6 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and it doesn't include these guttural letters. Daghesh Forte can go into those 6 letters that Daghesh Lene can go in, and more, excluding these 5 guttural letters. Okay, let's look at the next one. What does Daghesh Forte do to a consonant that it is placed in? Can anybody answer that one?
To be doubled.
That's right. And what does it mean for a letter to be doubled?
To repeat 2 times.
Okay, that's correct. So instead of just having one of that letter, you have 2 of the letters. Okay, so let me erase the board here and illustrate. So let us say that you have Daghesh Forte in base. Okay. What you have here is a doubling or repetition of base. You have 2 B's instead of 1. Or if it is Gimel that has Daghesh Forte in it, then you're going to have 2 G's instead of 1. If it is Dalet that has Daghesh Forte in it, you're going to have 2 B's instead of 1. So Daghesh Forte has the effect of making one letter be repeated. You have 2 of the same letters instead of 1. That's what Daghesh Forte does to a consonant. However, if this was simply a Daghesh Lene, you wouldn't have the 2 letters. You would still only have 1. You'd only have 1. Daghesh Lene cannot make a letter be repeated. So if this were Daghesh Lene, it would just be B, G, and D. What Daghesh Lene does is to make the letter get a hardened sound. Without the Daghesh Lene in it, it would be a V. But when it comes into it, it becomes a B. As a book rather than a book. And the same thing with the others. Without the Daghesh Lene, this would be a TH, but when the Daghesh Lene goes there, it has a D sound. But it does not cause any of the letters to be repeated. Daghesh Forte does that. Now, God willing, 6 minutes left before class is finished. Lord willing, next week we will move on to the next lesson, which is part of this lesson here that has the test on it. I will send it to you sometime later on today. Okay, it has lesson 13 entitled Mappiq. And we're going to see something that I had to deal with by itself because it looks like a Daghesh. It is a dot and it goes into the center or heart, but only one letter. It goes into the letter A. The letter A, which is like our H. And it only goes into that letter if that letter comes at the end of a word. It doesn't go into that letter if it is at the beginning of a word. It goes into that letter only when it is at the end of a word. Now remember, Daghesh Forte cannot go into He because He is a guttural letter. And Daghesh Lene does not go into He either because it only goes into Bet, into Gimel, into Dalet, into Kaf, into doesn't go into He. So I wanted to deal with this other feature of Hebrew grammar by itself. So next week Friday, when we have Hebrew class, not next week Thursday, but next week Friday, we will look at what is called Mappiq, M-A-P-P-I-Q, which in English means bringing out. See that dot in the middle of A, it brings out forcefully the sound of A. The sound of A is pronounced even more, like a sound. It brings out the sound of the consonant A more. Okay, so it looks like a Daghesh Lene. It looks like a Daghesh, but it is different in many ways from both of them. And I'll be dealing with that, God permitting, on Friday, March 8th, next week. Questions before we close the Hebrew class? What I would strongly suggest is that you go over lesson 10 that deals with Maqqeph and Quiescent 11. All right. Over lesson 10, Maqqeph and Quiescent, lesson 11 with Daghesh Lene, and lesson 12 that deals with Daghesh Forte. Make sure you know those. I can't really go on to a new lesson until you understand each lesson. See, because each new lesson is going to use what you have already learned in the lessons before. Understand each lesson. So review those 3 lessons. You're not getting any test or quiz. Just review it. Next week we will do topic Mappiq. Lesson 13 is called M-A-P-P-I-Q, which is a Hebrew word bringing out the sound of the consonant A.
Oh, yeah.
Any question?
I know, sir.
Somebody just scored a goal. All right. Okay. You are free to go. Hermeneutics is at 1:30. So 3. So you are free to go. Have a great weekend.
Same here, sir.
Yes.